about 5 minutes late or 5 minutes early, whichever one is correct. I'm not sure. Because you know, I do this for fun. It's a hobby. I haven't been paid to do nothing, etc., etc. Now, what I will do is try and keep this one a little bit brief, because there's probably lots of other people streaming, which is great. You know, this community is awesome. Now, what I found since yesterday, I thought I'd have a look at that. You know, prices are up, which is a surprise to me. Not because, you know, I don't think, oh, no one's interested in buying HEX, INC, PLSX, Pulse Chain. No, that's not the case. I've been screaming this for the last, probably, when did I really get blown away by HEX? I would say after it smashed through one penny. But then the lead up to that, you had to be there. But then seeing the all-time high was just fucking insane. Like, as you saw, there was music videos, there was this huge community just emerged out of nowhere. It kind of died off a little bit, but I like to think people are still around, and no matter what they've done, unless it's actually bad, I like to think they're still there, and maybe they'll come back. I don't know. Like one of my favorite things that I can think of when I see price go up is Naga's. You know, his streams price go up. So shout out to Naga, man. Like, just yeah, I'm not even sure if he's still streaming. Anyway, that's not the point of stream. So let's go up. Yeah, no, it's that. So the first thing, like I said, we've covered a bit of HEX history there. Now we are looking up 30% in a 24-hour period, which is amazing. Getting blown away. It's going to be impressive to see. Imagine like this appearing on some of the more, I guess, quote-unquote mainstream. I wouldn't even say non-Hexagon streams, because it's quite possible that they now hold HEX or own HEX or stake HEX, or you know, do everything that you can do HEX, maybe even trade HEX. So it's going to be cool to see that play out, potentially on some like bubble charts here and there, you know. And you'll be seeing big green candles, which could, you know, bring more eyeballs to this particular space, and they will discover that there's not just one HEX, there's two HEX, right? And currently you're looking at a ratio 60%, you know, thereabouts. So one pulse HEX, it's kind of confusing. One HEX on pulse chain, native to pulse chain HEX, you can take it and stake it on the HEX contract on pulse chain, is equal to, you know, 60% of an EHEX. So you invert that, and for one EHEX you'll get, you know, 60% of a pulse chain HEX. Now this, like I said, this is an old, been here for the longest time. I can't remember if this was here from inception. My mind, yeah, I can't knock it in, but it has been here for a long time. I never really fully understood how to use it, but looking at this particular, how it, I'm not sure if it's the right word, pulls data, or how it's coded in to obtain the data. Now, just, if you know stuff about it, just, I'm trying to learn, okay? I'm getting there. So one, basically, I've covered this before. One allows you to see in real time. You can set a time frame. I put the last day. So I'm trying to figure out how to filter it correctly. One is setting the last day up until now. So everything that takes place up until now, you'll see in live time if a stake ends, you know. You see in live time if someone emergency end stakes, which is useful to see. But like I said, you go through, you can check when it was started, you can check the address, you can check how much HEX it was for, and you can check other like variables, you know, like whether or not it had any big payday bonus, whether or not it's, I think if you look here, it breaks down what it is you're looking for. Now, if you're good with this stuff, you could probably create some pretty insane data, graphs, reports, but whether or not they would be overly useful, I'm still undecided, because you'd have to, it all starts with you, and what question you were trying to ask, because then, you might be able to answer it. Now, the next thing, this is the other side. It's almost like a ledger, both sides of the same story, where one is showing you current date, real time, and the other one is showing you expected end time. So this, you could argue we should look at that first, but it says the time it was started. You can filter that through the amount of days staked, quote staked, and the time in which it's due to end. But then again, that's why you would check this here for actual real world versus forecasting, because even the weather experts can't always get the weather right. Now, I'm curious because I want to know why the price is going up. I would say because there's more buyers than sellers, but it's starting to get more complex because of the LPs, the DEXs. It's across 2 chains, and also not just HEX itself, but the other ERC20 tokens being bridged over and becoming PRC20 tokens, or wrapped ERC20 tokens on the PRC20 chain, I guess you could call it as well. You can see here there is some, well, usually every day there appears to be larger stakes, that are ended. What's this one? Oh, okay, already picked one up. So maybe that ended early. Didn't know I had that feature. And we have here HEX date. So you could say, what are the larger accounts doing? What are the smaller accounts doing? It could be part of the picture. To really deep dive, drill right down into it as to why the price is going up. Maybe it would take a lot more chain analysis than you're going to get on this particular stream. But anyone can do this. It's all open. It's all free. It's not like paid access to get this particular website working, but you do have to spend some time to figure out how it does work. Now, you can see here, I'm looking for if there's any actual, huge, mind-blowing, 100 million hex ending or anything insane. You can see that's pretty impressive, 2 million hex relative to every other that we've seen so far. 4 million, a mere 70 million. That's fucking huge. So people might be thinking, oh my god, 70 million is gonna dump on us. So, okay, well, maybe go check that. Now, the question would be, imagine if that 70 million was to migrate, I'm not sure if that's the right word, wrap their EHEX over to Pulse Chain HEX. What would that do to the price? Probably nothing, just purely wrapping it. It would lock up HEX. It would keep it away from selling, I guess, if you're concerned about that. But the person would miss out on huge amounts of T-shares on Ethereum. So why would they do that? Maybe there's incentive to do that. I'm not so sure. If they were looking to wrap it and pool it somewhere, maybe. But yeah. It's fascinating to think about these things. If everyone wrapped their ERC20 hex, what would that do to the chain and EHEX's performance on Ethereum? I think there's a vague formula from memory, and it's like, if everyone stakes, price goes up. If no one stakes, price goes down, or something like that. I might have got it confused. Let me think for about 3 seconds. If everyone has liquid, it's most likely that the price will not be high. If everyone was staked, I'm pretty sure it would increase the price. It would be very liquid as well. But, when things are liquid, you could move it up and down. Yeah, I know my mic is shit. I've been trying to get a better one. but I probably just need like a bit of hardware that can filter out some of the static. Also, I mumble pretty bad, and I've got this thing hooked into like lots of other shit, so it's probably getting feedback from there. So next thing, I was looking at these LP pools. We did see, I think yesterday I was looking here, why it was moving the way it was. And basically what I've learned since then, it's if you're selling EHEX to buy HEX, it routes through EHEX to wrapped pulse. So that was interesting in itself. I thought, oh, maybe it's just, you know, go to this part here. You know, when sometimes you do a trade and the trade doesn't appear where you think it will appear, and then you find out where it was actually like routing through, where it was going, and I'm like, okay, so that's where it's going. So that was interesting. So if you're selling your on PulseX, if you were selling your EHEX v2, it was actually going through your EHEX to wrap pulse. So you're selling your wrapped EHEX and you're buying wrapped pulse, and then you were, you know, then selling that wrap pulse and buying HEX, which is interesting because at the moment, you know, there seems to be lots of buy pressure, if that is the case. But what I was able to see, like I said before, price go up, you know, more buys than sells on this particular LP here. We can go back down to 0.07. If I can find it, it might be pretty far back. But yeah, we're seeing larger amounts of buys, and they're not huge because it does appear though like the pools are a bit deeper on EHEX versus HEX in this case, because what I'm seeing here, I'm not sure it played out, but it was like 0.0099, and then you got 0.0097. Okay, and they sold about 12,000, but previously, I think like the day before that, if that had happened, I would have thought the price would have dropped more than that. So that's kind of impressive. Again, this is why I'm not sure what's causing this. It's starting to get very complex. That's interesting. A buy of about 20,000 moved the price up a little bit, so you can see on chain what a buy of that amount does, what effect it does have, and whether or not they were buying. They're buying EHEX on PulseX, you know, that's interesting. Whether then plan to move over to Ethereum chain to stake it, which locks it up, or they're planning to leave it on there and maybe pair it, that locks it up, or were they planning to, take some slices? Buying, I'm not so sure if they would, but people do what is best for them. Actually, if they know what they're doing, maybe it's experimental, but. We have here, so EHEX wrap pulse is where it's routing through. Is a part of where it's routing through. If you hone in and focus only on wrapping EHEX, removing EHEX from Ethereum to Pulse chain, not using any Ethereum dexes, this would be my one way that I could view it, one way that I'm researching. And these are basically my findings, what I found. So whether or not it's helping anyone, I'm not so sure. But yeah, it's routing through here. And if you're buying, it goes up. If you're selling, it goes down. But then, what effect are your sells having? You could almost measure. I don't know if you can measure the price of the sell versus the price itself, and maybe some sort of ratio. Maybe there's some sort of sweet spot where you can not affect the price as much. I mean, that sounds basic, but it's if you sell $1 million worth of EHEX to wrap pulse, I mean, yeah, you swap it to wrap pulse, but it's gonna pull the price down a fair bit, if as opposed to $100 or something, or $1,000 or $10,000, $100,000. But at these prices, it's not being affected too hard by these smaller cells. 1,000 even. See, 1,000 is moving here in this instance. 0.095 to 0.096. So that is just on $1,000 at these prices. Imagine as the prices increase, if they do, if and when, what, 10 times that, 10 times the price, and then a 10,000 sell would be moving it by that much. So that's interesting, I find. If you look at, again, so I'm really starting to think long and hard about Ethereum dexes and planning to go places. If, for instance, there was viable options to on-ramp and off-ramp direct into Pulse, why would I even be bothering messing trading on Ethereum? Not that there's anything wrong with Ethereum. I'm not saying sell EHEX. God no. I'm saying I'm not saying sell EHEX just purely to sell EHEX to get Ethereum to then bridge Ethereum over, or do something to then buy HEX on Pulse chain, or or swap it for Pulse. I mean, wouldn't it be easier if you wanted those tokens to direct in and out on, where possible, Pulse chain itself? And if you have EHEX, if you have it without buying more, it's a bonus, yeah? If you have it, it's like, what do you want to do with it? Instead of selling it, selling it here, selling it. I'm starting to think, if I wanted to sell EHEX, I would bridge over into PulseX, play on PulseX, on Pulse chain, and then take the slices if I'm going to take the slices. That's just my thoughts, but I could be wrong. Again, taking into account, the day on how many people, what stakes are coming out, we did see, we could look at the huge one here, the 70 million, but it's unlikely someone can dump 70 million on the market. We can, so I've done that. My discoveries on how to use the filters, vaguely. Discoveries on when engaging with EHEX and bridging, and then deciding whether or not you want to slice or whether you want to trade, and how it's routing through PulseX V2. And then the interesting thing, the community is the best, because you're seeing heaps of hype, heaps of positivity, which is great. But the question, even though there's the hype and everything, that's great, but fundamentally, why is there more buyers and sells? That's why this is why the on-chain data is there. Is it a big, huge, what is it? Is it just more buyers and sells? Why? You could go and have a look at some of the larger wallets, why they're buying, and you could say it's because XYZ, you could say motivation XYZ, but it's speculation. You don't really know, unless it's unless I'm going to fucking take a massive long out with my big giant bag, and I'm going to drive the price up, and hope that no one bigger than me comes along and hits me with a stick, Now, so moving on, again, this is interesting here. So people that understand crypto more than I, everyone under the sun, part of those people is Richard Hart himself. Now, we can shout out to Richard Hart himself, but I'm pretty sure everyone has and does. And thanks, Richard Hart, for the things that he has spoken. It sounds like I'm praising a god. For many thanks for that. We're about to read now. Who looks like on-chain? Who likes on-chain liquidity, no counterparty risk? So this was why I was thinking. If you look at the LP pools, right, and more and more people across the crypto space are discovering that you can wrap your token available, and you can move it over to Pulse chain. You can Pulse X, other dexes on Pulse chain. I don't really want to call them safe ones, but more reputable ones. And basically once there, you can provide LPs with no fees. Unlike Uniswap, when you trade on there and they decide to turn the fee on. Anyway, and you can then, it's becoming a cross-chain, multiple. What would the word be? The ability to bridge is good, so you can wrap Bitcoin and then play with it on DeFi in a DEX. You can provide LP, etc. if it's available. Risk involved, yes. You can do the same with these other tokens, and you are then able to remove other counterparty risk because you literally hold your tokens on a DEX with cheaper fees, and the DEX that it was previously on, something like Uniswap, they won't turn around and decide to make your tokens unavailable anymore, which is not really the way DeFi should be run. But what do I use? What do I know? Who cares? The hexagons pop. Like I heard about Uniswap through the hexagons. Like without that, Uniswap would have been. I would have looked and going, what is this DEX? I'm not touching this. So I looked it up, learned how to play with it, learned how to do this, learned how to do that. You get more comfortable. You learn what not to do. LP farming, I learned how to not get wrecked back in 2018 when these yield farm, the food farms were popping off. All right, so LPs, you can move tokens like ETH, BNB, wrapped ETH, wrapped BNB, and move it over to Pulse Chain and play with it for cheaper fees on decentralized exchanges, and you can provide LP. Question: why then would you move it back to the other places where you're not treated so well? The fees are shitter, arguably, and just why? I don't know. I can't see it. I'm kind of impressed, seeing what and how HEX has been treated by other entities. So I'd like to move my HEX where it's treated best, cheaper, where it's got a better highway, same tires, same engine, just better surface. Now surface matters, you put the wrong surface on a racetrack, the cars can't even run. So that is what I'm imagining is affecting the overall Pulse Chain ecosphere. These LPs entering into the system, providing deeper liquidity to make it, more not viable, to make it less volatile. Because the larger the LP pools, the less slippage you're likely to incur when you're trading, and the larger the LP pools, the larger trades you could make with a more stable trajectory of slippage. Because if there's no liquidity, we've seen the nightmare trades that have taken place where $1 million gives you $1 because they're like $1 of LP and it didn't play well. Now, another thing that I'll close out with, because hopefully that helps someone. I think this is one of the better things to think about in crypto, because this is what I learned, experiencing lots and lots of fuckery. Ultimately, you can stay mad at everyone else but yourself. You can't be mad at yourself, but you can blame everyone else but yourself. But if you never realize you made the mistake, or you didn't understand this, or you didn't understand that, then it really is, ignorance can be expensive. So I agree with this. I'll read it out. This tweet, whoever wrote this tweet, there's a possibility some of these tweets are, AI generated. Who knows? So I feel so sorry for those that ignored my advice to not pick up pennies in front of freight trains. I feel sorry for those that bought the top, even though I called the top. feel sorry for those that take no personal responsibility for their own mistakes. Now, that's probably the best part. Ignorance is expensive, especially in your own. Think about it, your own personal finances. It's like no one else. If you go to an advisor and they stuff you up, they have a fiduciary duty to make sure you're in a better financial position than you started off with, right? That's on them. If it's you, yeah, you probably should have a duty to look after yourself, yeah. But so many people don't. It's crazy. In closing, in the bull market, when prices are going up and LPs are going up, I think people are more likely, personally, I could be wrong, to move some of their crypto assets where possible into the Pulse chain ecosphere and leave it there and never move them, and play with them over there where it's cheaper. That's probably the summary of this entire stream, because beyond that, all I did was discover how to filter correctly, see in real time, set date is now, go back 1 day, 2 day, 3. You can go do some chain analysis, very vague chain analysis, and you can also have a look at the forecasted dates of stakes when they're due to end by filtering correctly, basically now until the next day or the next week. So the next week, the next day, this is expected to take place. Then you can double check that against this here. Did it take place? You could then have a look, say, are they moving? Just one thing, are they moving? What they're doing with the EHEX? Are they restaking it, chasing T-shapes, which is fine? Are they moving the EHEX over the Pulse chain to take their slices, to lock, to LP, provide? What are they doing? And then you can have a look how it's being done on chain through PulseX. As an example, you can say, well, if they're selling HEX for HEX, it's actually selling EHEX for Wrap Pulse, then Wrap Pulse is then buying HEX on Pulse chain. Similar to how a lot of things similar to how on Uniswap from memory, it would always prefer wrapped Ethereum. So if you wrapped your Ethereum, you saved one leg of the journey. Alright, so free speech, signing out, and what else? Yeah, I watched that Crypto Coffee's, that was very good. Shout out to Crypto Coffee, everyone for life for him, etc. etc. Yeah. Very good community. Oh yeah. Hexkins. Well, let's close with this. Hexkins. Hexkin, Polskin, Pulse, Hexicans. Unite. Oh. Anytime, Maureen. Anytime.